Tonight you're listening to Science for Sleep. If you enjoy learning while you rest, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing where you're listening from. It helps the channel grow and it quietly connects you with others doing the same thing right now. What you're about to hear is not a story, and it isn't a meditation. It's a slow, careful explanation of something you experience every night, often without realizing it. What the brain actually does when you fall asleep. Most people imagine sleep as the brain shutting down. Lights off, power lowered, consciousness gone. But sleep is not the brain turning off. Sleep is the brain changing how it works. As you fall asleep, your brain begins a carefully timed transition. Not sudden, not dramatic, just a gradual shift from one mode of operation to another. At first, you're still awake. Thoughts move freely. You're aware of your body, the room around you, the passage of time. Inside the brain, the prefrontal cortex is active. This is the part responsible for planning, logic, self-control, and structured thought. It's the part that asks questions, solves problems, and keeps track of who you are and where you are. As sleep approaches, this region begins to quiet. Not all at once. Not evenly. Its activity slowly decreases, and as it does, something subtle happens. Your thoughts begin to loosen. Ideas drift instead of connect. Time starts to feel less precise. You may notice random images, fragments of memory, or strange associations that don't quite make sense. This is not a malfunction. It's a sign that the brain is transitioning. At the same time, brain waves begin to change. When you're fully awake, your brain produces fast, irregular waves. These are associated with alertness, focus, and external attention. As you relax and prepare for sleep, these waves slow down. They become more rhythmic, more synchronized. This shift marks the beginning of the first stage of sleep. Your brain is still aware but less engaged with the outside world. The thalamus, a deep structure in the brain that acts like a sensory relay station, starts to change its behavior. Instead of passing information from your senses directly to the cortex, it begins to filter it. Sounds become less sharp. Touch becomes less urgent. Light behind your closed eyelids fades in importance. The brain is not ignoring the world. It's choosing not to prioritize it. As this happens, your body responds. Heart rate slows slightly. Breathing becomes more regular. Muscle tension begins to ease. This stage of sleep is light. You can still wake easily, but the direction has changed. If you stay still long enough, the brain continues deeper. Brain waves slow further, becoming larger and more deliberate. These are known as theta waves. In this stage, consciousness becomes unstable. You may feel as though you're falling, drifting, or floating. You might experience brief muscle twitches or sudden sensations. These moments happen because the brain is reorganizing communication between regions. Signals are being rerouted. Priorities are shifting. Then something important begins. The hippocampus, a structure involved in memory, becomes highly active. While the thinking mind rests, memory systems wake up. Throughout the day, your brain collects enormous amounts of information. Most of it is temporary. Some of it matters. As you sleep, the brain begins sorting. Memories are replayed. Not consciously. Quietly. Patterns are strengthened. Irrelevant details are weakened. Emotional experiences are integrated with existing knowledge. This process helps explain why sleep improves learning, and why a lack of sleep makes thinking feel scattered. As sleep deepens, brain waves slow even more. Now they move in large, rolling patterns known as delta waves. This is deep sleep. In this stage, the brain is less responsive to external stimulation. Waking becomes difficult. The sense of self fades almost completely. But inside, critical work continues. The brain's energy usage changes. Some regions rest more than others. The glymphatic system, a waste-clearing process unique to the sleeping brain, becomes active. Cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely through brain tissue, washing away metabolic byproducts that accumulate during wakefulness. This is one reason sleep is linked to long-term brain health. It's maintenance time. Hormones involved in growth, repair, and immune function are released. Cells recover. Connections stabilize. Then gradually, the brain shifts again. After a period of deep sleep, activity increases in certain regions. brain waves become faster and more chaotic. This is the beginning of REM sleep. During REM sleep, the brain becomes highly active, sometimes nearly as active as when you're awake. But the activity pattern is different. The emotional centers of the brain are especially engaged. The amygdala, involved in processing emotion, shows increased activity. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex remains relatively quiet. This imbalance helps explain why dreams can feel intense, emotional, and illogical at the same time. Your brain is generating experiences without the usual filters. During REM sleep, your brain temporarily paralyzes most of your muscles. This prevents you from acting out dreams. This paralysis is deliberate and controlled. It's one of the brain's safety mechanisms. Throughout the night, your brain cycles through these stages multiple times. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes. And with each repetition, the balance changes. Early in the night, deep sleep dominates. Later, REM sleep becomes longer. By morning, the brain has completed multiple rounds of memory consolidation, emotional regulation, physical repair, and waste removal. All of this happens without effort, without awareness, without instruction. Sleep is not passive. It's one of the most active and essential processes your brain performs. When you wake up, consciousness returns gradually. The prefrontal cortex re-engages. Sensory input becomes prioritized again. But the work done during sleep remains. You wake with a brain that is cleaner, more organized, and better prepared than it was the night before. Every night, your brain repeats this process, quietly, reliably, without asking for attention. And now, as you continue listening, your brain may already be beginning that shift again. Thoughts slowing, signals softening, awareness gently narrowing. The same systems you've just heard about are always ready, waiting for stillness, waiting for rest. There's nothing you need to do. Your brain already knows how to fall asleep. As wakefulness fades, the boundary between thought and sensation becomes less defined. Your brain no longer tries to separate what is real from what is imagined with the same precision. Images may appear briefly, then dissolve. Ideas arrive without context and leave without explanation. This is the brain releasing control. The networks responsible for monitoring consistency and logic continue to quiet. In their place, older, deeper systems take the lead. These systems evolved long before language or planning. They regulate rhythm, balance, and internal stability. Breathing settles into a steady pattern. Heart rate follows. Blood pressure lowers slightly. Your brainstem, which controls these automatic processes, becomes more dominant. This allows the body to rest without supervision. At the same time, communication between the left and right hemispheres of the brain becomes more synchronized. Signals travel in slower, broader waves. Instead of rapid exchanges, the brain begins to move information in unified patterns. This synchronization is one of the reasons sleep feels restorative. The brain is no longer fragmented by competing demands. In deeper stages of sleep, awareness of the body itself begins to fade. You no longer track the position of your limbs. The sense of weight disappears. This happens because the somatosensory cortex reduces its activity. The brain temporarily stops checking in on physical sensation unless it's necessary. Pain signals are dampened. Discomfort becomes distant. This does not mean the brain is vulnerable. It remains alert to danger. But it no longer reacts to every small signal. During this time, neural connections formed during the day are evaluated. Some are reinforced. Others are weakened or removed. This process is known as synaptic pruning. It helps the brain remain efficient. Without it, mental noise would accumulate. Learning becomes clearer after sleep because unnecessary connections have been reduced. As the night progresses, the brain continues cycling through these states. Each cycle builds on the last. Dreams may come and go. Some vivid, some forgotten immediately. Dreaming is not random. It reflects the brain testing ideas, emotions, and memories in a low-risk environment. The brain simulates scenarios. It blends memory with imagination. It explores possibilities without consequence. Even when dreams feel meaningless, the brain is still processing emotional information, reducing stress, balancing mood. This is one reason sleep deprivation affects emotional regulation. Without adequate REM sleep, the emotional brain remains overstimulated. As hours pass, the brain becomes increasingly efficient at transitioning between stages. The cycles become smoother, less abrupt. By the later part of the night, light sleep and REM dominate. The brain is preparing for waking. Sensory pathways slowly reopen. The thalamus becomes more responsive. External sounds begin to register faintly. Still, the brain remains selective. Only strong or meaningful signals pass through. When morning approaches, levels of certain neurotransmitters begin to rise. Cortisol increases slightly, helping initiate wakefulness. Melatonin decreases. The prefrontal cortex gradually comes back online. Thought becomes structured again. Time regains definition. The sense of self returns. Waking does not happen all at once. It unfolds. Even after opening your eyes, parts of your brain may still be transitioning. This is why mornings can feel slow. Why focus returns gradually. Sleep inertia is the result of different brain regions waking at different speeds. Eventually, the brain settles back into its waking pattern. Fast waves return. External attention resumes. But the effects of sleep remain. The brain is more adaptable. Emotions are steadier. Memory is clearer. All of this work happened without conscious participation. Sleep is not something you do. It's something the brain allows. And every night, regardless of stress or routine, the brain attempts to guide you back into this cycle. Not because you force it, but because it is essential. As you continue resting, these same systems may already be active again. Shifting priorities. Lowering resistance. There is no need to track the process. No need to understand every step. The brain has been practicing this for millions of years. It knows when to slow, when to release, when to rest. And it will continue quietly and precisely for as long as you allow it to. As sleep continues, researchers can track what's happening in the brain using tools like electroencephalography or EEG. These measurements allow scientists to observe changes in electrical activity across different regions of the brain as sleep deepens and lightens. What they see is not randomness but structure. Sleep follows a predictable architecture. It unfolds in stages that repeat in cycles, each with distinct patterns of brain activity and function. In the earliest stage, often called stage 1, EEG recordings show a transition from alpha waves, which dominate relaxed wakefulness, to theta waves, which signal the onset of sleep. This stage is brief, usually lasting only a few minutes, and serves as the brain's entry point into sleep. From there, the brain moves into stage 2 sleep. This stage is marked by specific EEG features known as sleep spindles and K-complexes. Sleep spindles are short bursts of rapid brain activity. K-complexes are large, slow waves followed by a sharp peak. These patterns are not accidental. Sleep spindles are believed to protect sleep by blocking out external disturbances. They help prevent sounds or movements from waking you. At the same time, they play a role in memory consolidation, especially for motor skills and learned tasks. K-complexes appear to serve as a gatekeeping mechanism. They allow the brain to briefly evaluate external stimuli without fully waking. Together, these features help the brain maintain sleep while remaining responsive to important signals. As sleep deepens further, the brain enters slow-wave sleep. This stage is characterized by delta waves, which are the slowest and largest brain waves observed in humans. These waves reflect synchronized activity across large populations of neurons. During slow-wave sleep, communication between distant brain regions becomes more unified. Neurons fire together, then rest together in a coordinated rhythm. This synchronized activity is thought to support several essential processes. One of the most important is memory consolidation. Declarative memories, such as facts and experiences, are transferred from temporary storage in the hippocampus to more stable networks in the cortex. This process strengthens long-term memory and frees up space in the hippocampus for new information the next day. Slow-wave sleep is also critical for physical restoration. During this stage, the brain signals the release of growth hormone, which supports tissue repair, immune function, and cellular maintenance. At the same time, metabolic activity in the brain decreases. Energy consumption drops. Cells shift into maintenance mode. Another key process occurring during deep sleep involves the clearance of waste products. Studies using imaging techniques have shown that during slow-wave sleep, the space between brain cells increases slightly. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely, flushing out byproducts of neural activity, including proteins associated with neurodegenerative disease. This cleaning process is far less active during wakefulness. After a period of deep sleep, the brain transitions into REM sleep. REM sleep is distinct both behaviorally and neurologically. EEG recordings during REM sleep show fast, low-amplitude waves similar to those seen during wakefulness. However, the pattern of activation across brain regions is different. Visual and emotional centers of the brain become highly active. The amygdala, hippocampus, and visual cortex show increased activity. In contrast, the prefrontal cortex remains relatively subdued. This combination explains why dreams are vivid and emotional, yet often lack logical structure or self-awareness. During REM sleep, the brain also inhibits motor neurons in the spinal cord. This prevents muscle movement and protects the body from physically acting out dreams. REM sleep appears to play a central role in emotional regulation. Research shows that REM sleep helps reduce the emotional intensity of memories while preserving their informational content. This allows the brain to process emotional experiences without re-triggering the same physiological stress response. Across the night, the brain cycles through non-REM and REM sleep approximately 4 to 6 times. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes. Early cycles contain more slow-wave sleep. Later cycles contain more REM sleep. This shift reflects changing priorities. Early in the night, the brain focuses on physical restoration and memory stabilization. Later, it prioritizes emotional processing and cognitive integration. Throughout this process, the brain remains dynamic. Neurotransmitter levels rise and fall. Acetylcholine increases during REM sleep, supporting cortical activation. Serotonin and norepinephrine decrease, reducing external alertness. As morning approaches, this balance shifts again. Melatonin secretion decreases as light exposure increases. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the brain's internal clock, signals the body to prepare for wakefulness. Cortisol levels rise gradually, helping mobilize energy and restore alertness. The brain reestablishes waking communication patterns. Attention returns. Sensory processing sharpens. From a scientific perspective, sleep is a coordinated, multi-system process. It involves electrical, chemical, and structural changes across the brain. It is not passive rest. It is active regulation. And every time you fall asleep, your brain follows this same sequence, guided by mechanisms refined through evolution and measured through decades of research. Scientists have also learned that sleep does not affect all parts of the brain equally. Some regions rest more deeply, while others remain relatively active, depending on their role and recent use. For example, brain areas involved in learning a new task during the day often show increased slow-wave activity at night. This suggests that the brain selectively targets regions that need the most recovery or reorganization. In this way, sleep is adaptive. It responds to what you did, learned, and experienced while awake. Another important discovery is that sleep is tightly linked to brain plasticity. Plasticity refers to the brain's ability to change its structure and connections over time. During sleep, especially during slow-wave and REM stages, synapses are adjusted. Some connections are strengthened, making certain skills or memories more stable. Others are weakened, preventing overload and maintaining balance. This balance is essential. Without it, the brain would become inefficient, noisy, and less capable of learning. Sleep also plays a critical role in regulating attention and decision-making. Studies show that when sleep is reduced, the prefrontal cortex becomes less effective at controlling impulses and evaluating risk. This is why sleep deprivation affects judgment, reaction time, and emotional control. The brain remains active, but its internal coordination is disrupted. Another system influenced by sleep is the brain's emotional regulation network. During REM sleep, communication between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex changes. This altered communication allows emotional memories to be processed with reduced stress signaling. In practical terms, sleep helps the brain remember experiences without reliving the same emotional intensity. This is especially important for managing anxiety and stress. Researchers have also found that sleep influences creativity and problem-solving. During sleep, especially REM sleep, the brain forms new associations between existing memories. This process can lead to insight, pattern recognition, and novel solutions. The brain is not consciously searching for answers. It is reorganizing information in ways that are not possible during focused wakefulness. Sleep also supports language processing. Studies show that learning new words or sounds is more effective when followed by sleep. The brain integrates linguistic patterns during non-REM sleep and refines them during REM sleep. Across development, sleep plays an even larger role. In children and adolescents, sleep supports brain maturation. Neural circuits are refined. Unnecessary connections are removed. Important ones are strengthened. This is one reason why sleep needs are higher earlier in life. At a cellular level, sleep affects gene expression in the brain. Certain genes involved in repair, metabolism, and stress response are more active during sleep. Others associated with wakefulness and external interaction are downregulated. This shift allows brain cells to recover from daily wear and maintain long-term function. Sleep is also closely tied to the brain's immune interactions. During sleep, inflammatory responses are regulated, and immune signaling becomes more balanced. Chronic sleep disruption can interfere with these processes, affecting both brain and body health. Another key area of research involves circadian rhythms. The brain contains an internal timing system that coordinates sleep with environmental light and darkness. This system influences when sleep occurs, how deep it is, and how restorative it feels. When circadian timing is disrupted, such as through irregular schedules or artificial light exposure, the brain's sleep processes become less efficient. The stages still occur, but their timing and balance are altered. Over time, this can affect cognitive performance, mood, and overall brain function. From a scientific standpoint, falling asleep is not a single event. It is the result of multiple systems aligning. Neural activity slows in some regions and accelerates in others. Chemical signals shift. Structural processes activate. All of this happens automatically, guided by internal feedback loops rather than conscious choice. The brain monitors its own state continuously. When conditions are right, it transitions into sleep. When they are not, it delays. This is why sleep cannot be forced. The brain must permit it. Understanding what happens in the brain during sleep helps explain why rest is so essential. Sleep supports memory, emotional stability, learning, physical repair, and long-term brain health. It is not downtime. It is a different kind of activity. And every time you fall asleep, your brain carries out this complex sequence with remarkable consistency, shaped by biology, refined by experience, and supported by decades of scientific observation. Research has also shown that the brain uses sleep to recalibrate its sensitivity to the world. During wakefulness, neurons respond constantly to stimulation. Over time, this responsiveness increases, which can lead to mental fatigue and reduced precision. Sleep helps reverse this process. During non-REM sleep, especially slow-wave sleep, overall synaptic strength is slightly reduced across the brain. This does not erase learning. Instead, It preserves the most important connections while lowering background noise. This process is known as synaptic homeostasis. It allows the brain to maintain efficiency, preventing overload and keeping neural signaling flexible for the next day. Without this recalibration, attention becomes scattered and learning capacity declines. Another area of interest is how sleep affects perception. Studies show that after sleep, the brain processes sensory information more accurately. Visual contrast improves. Reaction times shorten. Auditory discrimination becomes sharper. These changes are not due to rest alone. They reflect active reorganization of sensory pathways during sleep. Sleep also influences how the brain predicts the world. Modern neuroscience suggests that the brain is constantly generating predictions about incoming information. During sleep, especially REM sleep, these predictive models are updated. The brain tests expectations against stored memories, adjusting them based on experience. This helps improve decision-making and adaptability during wakefulness. In this sense, sleep acts as a training ground for perception and behavior. Another important function of sleep involves stress regulation. During wakefulness, the brain's stress systems are frequently activated. Cortisol, adrenaline, and other stress-related chemicals rise in response to demands. Sleep helps reset these systems. During deep sleep, stress hormone levels drop. The brain reduces its baseline level of arousal. This reset allows the stress response to remain effective without becoming overactive. Chronic lack of sleep disrupts this balance, leading to heightened reactivity and reduced resilience. Sleep also plays a role in maintaining the brain's energy balance. Neurons rely on tightly regulated metabolic processes. During sleep, energy consumption patterns shift, allowing cells to replenish resources used during wakefulness. This includes restoring glycogen levels in supportive brain cells called astrocytes, which help fuel neural activity. Without adequate sleep, this energy balance becomes impaired, affecting cognitive performance. Another area scientists study is how sleep affects attention networks. Functional imaging studies show that after sleep, communication between attention-related regions becomes more stable. This supports sustained focus and reduces lapses in awareness. When sleep is disrupted, these networks become fragmented. The brain struggles to maintain consistent attention, even if overall alertness feels normal. Sleep also influences how the brain processes reward and motivation. During sleep, particularly REM sleep, reward-related circuits adjust their sensitivity. This helps maintain balanced motivation and emotional response. Sleep deprivation alters this balance, often increasing impulsivity and emotional reactivity. Across different species, sleep shows remarkable consistency in its core features. Mammals, birds, and even some reptiles exhibit sleep-like states with similar neural signatures. This suggests that the fundamental functions of sleep are deeply conserved through evolution. Despite differences in duration and structure, the basic processes remain. Periods of reduced sensory input, synchronized neural activity, memory processing, physiological restoration. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is costly. It reduces awareness and responsiveness to the environment. The fact that it persists across species indicates its essential role in brain function. Sleep is not optional maintenance. It is a core biological process. As research continues, scientists are uncovering more about how sleep supports mental health. Disruptions in sleep architecture are linked to conditions such as depression, anxiety, and neurodegenerative disease. While sleep alone is not a cure, its role in regulating brain systems is increasingly clear. The way the brain falls asleep, stays asleep, and cycles through stages affects long-term cognitive and emotional health. All of these findings point to the same conclusion. When you fall asleep, your brain is not disengaging. It is reorganizing itself at every level. Electrical activity changes. Chemical signals shift. Connections are adjusted. Systems are reset. This process unfolds night after night, shaped by biology and experience. And although you may not notice it happening, the effects of sleep are present every time you think, learn, remember, and respond to the world the next day. Scientists are still uncovering details about how the brain decides when to fall asleep. One key factor is the balance between sleep pressure and circadian timing. Sleep pressure builds the longer you stay awake. At the cellular level, certain chemicals such as adenosine accumulate in the brain during wakefulness. Adenosine reduces neural activity and promotes drowsiness by inhibiting wake-promoting neurons. As adenosine levels rise, the brain becomes less capable of sustaining alertness. This creates a biological drive for sleep. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors. It does not remove sleep pressure. It temporarily masks it. Meanwhile, circadian timing is controlled by the brain's internal clock. This clock is located in a small region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It synchronizes brain activity with the light-dark cycle. Light exposure in the evening delays this clock. Darkness allows melatonin release to increase. Melatonin does not cause sleep directly. It signals to the brain that conditions are appropriate for sleep to begin. When sleep pressure is high and circadian timing aligns, the brain transitions more easily into sleep. If these systems are out of sync, falling asleep becomes difficult even when tired. Once sleep begins, the brain continuously monitors its internal state. It adjusts depth and duration of sleep stages based on prior wakefulness, stress levels, and physical activity. This adaptability explains why sleep after intense learning or physical exertion is often deeper. The brain compensates. Another important area of research focuses on how sleep affects attention to threat. During wakefulness, the brain constantly scans for danger. This requires energy and sustained alertness. During sleep, threat detection systems are down-regulated, allowing other processes to dominate. However, these systems are not disabled. They remain capable of rapid reactivation if necessary. This balance allows sleep to occur without compromising survival. Sleep also influences how the brain integrates sensory experiences into memory. During non-REM sleep, memories are stabilized. During REM sleep, they are integrated with existing knowledge and emotional context. This two-step process helps explain why some memories feel factual, while others carry emotional weight. Both forms are processed during sleep, but at different times and in different ways. Neuroscientists have also observed that during sleep, the brain replays patterns of neural activity experienced during wakefulness. These replays are faster than the original experience. They occur repeatedly. This replay helps reinforce learning and refine neural circuits. It has been observed in humans and other animals, indicating a fundamental mechanism. Another aspect of sleep involves the regulation of consciousness itself. As sleep deepens, the brain reduces long-range communication between regions associated with awareness. Local processing continues, but global integration decreases. This breakdown of widespread connectivity contributes to the loss of conscious experience. In REM sleep, connectivity increases again, but in a different configuration. This allows internally generated experiences such as dreams, without external input. From a scientific standpoint, consciousness during sleep is not absent. It is altered. The brain remains active, but the source and structure of experience change. Sleep also affects how the brain responds to novelty. After adequate sleep, the brain shows increased responsiveness to new information. This supports learning and adaptability. Without sleep, the brain becomes more rigid, relying on familiar patterns rather than forming new ones. Sleep therefore plays a role in maintaining cognitive flexibility. As the night progresses, the brain gradually reduces sleep pressure. Adenosine levels fall. Circadian signals shift toward wakefulness. By the time you wake, the brain has recalibrated multiple systems. Attention, emotion, memory, perception, and energy regulation have all been adjusted. This coordinated reset allows the brain to function efficiently during the day. When sleep is consistently shortened or fragmented, these adjustments are incomplete. Over time, this affects cognitive performance, mood stability, and physical health. The science of sleep shows that falling asleep is not a passive drift into unconsciousness. It is an active, regulated transition involving nearly every major brain system. Each night, the brain follows this sequence automatically. It evaluates internal signals, shifts activity patterns, coordinates repair and reorganization. This process does not require awareness. It continues whether or not you think about it. And as research advances, scientists continue to find that sleep is not a luxury, but a biological necessity, deeply embedded in how the brain maintains itself over time. And now, as we reach the final stages of our journey through the sleeping brain, it's important to reflect on everything we've explored. Sleep is not passive. It is an intricate, active process. Every night, your brain cleans, organizes, repairs, and strengthens itself. Memories are consolidated. Emotions are balanced. Energy is restored. Every neural system works together to prepare you for the day ahead. This is the remarkable hidden work that occurs while you rest. Understanding what happens during sleep can help you appreciate its value and prioritize it, not as a pause in life, but as an essential, ongoing biological process that shapes how you think, feel, and experience the world. If you've learned something new tonight, consider leaving a like and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Science for Sleep to explore more fascinating topics like this, delivered in a way that's both educational and engaging. And now, as the brain continues its cycles, let it do its work. Every stage, every wave, every chemical shift, all contributing to your health, your memory, and your well-being. Sleep is not the absence of activity. It is a masterpiece of biology in motion. Thank you for joining this journey. Allow your brain to continue its work and wake tomorrow refreshed, restored, and ready for whatever comes next.